Guys, welcome to the part 5 of the tutorial. Actually, this is the last tutorial on the image Resize bot, and we'll complete our bot and we'll pretty much build a bot that people can actually use. Are you guys excited for the last bit of the tutorial? I am. Alright, so in this tutorial we are going to do a couple of things. First we are going to accept an image in the chatbot, so a user can send an image back to us, and then we will write the code to resize the image and then send image back to the user. Alright, so the first thing we might want to do is we want to look at the payload, okay, to see what attributes the image will come into. Alright, I'm sending an image now, which is, well, it's a pretty interesting image. Alright, so this is what we get from the Facebook when there is an image. As you can see, everything looks same. The message is under messaging part of the payload, and we still have the sender ID, recipient ID, timestamp message. And instead of type text, what we have here is we have attachments, okay, and we also have the URL of the image. So let's see if the URL has actually the image I sent or not, and it does, and it does. Okay, so let's copy and paste that in our code editor and write a code to grab the. We want to actually look for the image. As you can see, it's on the message and there is attachments. So like text, there might or might not be attachments, because if user is sending a text, then we won't get attachments, right? Okay, so let's put it like here. We only want to go inside if there is an attachment. If there is an attachment, what we want to do is we want to get the image type. Actually, we want to get the type of the attachment. So it can either be video as well, but we are only concerned about the image. So let's modify the condition. Actually, if attachments and attachments dot get attachments, and let's get the type of the attachment. Attachment type, and then we only want to go inside if it's an image, right? Okay, now what we want to do after we get the image. So the first thing we want to do is, I don't know, print out the URL for now. Print out the URL. The URL would be attachments. Sorry. The URL would be attachments.get payload and URL. Yep. Payload get URL. So this will be our image URL, and as soon as user uploads the image, we might want to say, please tell me the size. Yeah, that's what you want to do. So let's modify the response text to be thanks. I will help you resize. Tell me the size in width and height. All right, let's see if that works. Okay, make sure the bot is still up and running. Yep, it is. Now I'll send back the same image here. Okay, we get the image, but we also have an error in the terminal on line 48. So let's see what is that. Attachments. Oh, actually, attachment is a list. So there can be, actually, it's a good one. So there can be like a multiple attachments being sent at once, because in Facebook you can actually select multiple images or videos at once. But for now, we are going to only care about the first attachment. Okay, we are so if attachment, what I want to do is I want to get the first element, and then go from there. Let's try that again. This is an interesting response here as well. And just so you know, guys, Facebook always expects the webhook to return 200 response back. Otherwise, it will send another request immediately. Actually, it will keep on sending a request to the webhook in order to get the 200 back. So this is exactly what happened on our first instance. Our webhook failed and we did not get any response at all, and then Facebook kept on sending that request, and as soon as the webhook started working, then we got and then we gave like 2 responses back, which is fine, because this won't happen in production, because there won't be any broken code or anything like that in production. So this is good. So we're asking user to specify the width and height, right? Okay, so Flux is a web application that is a normal request and response, and so we can't really persist the data. And after user enters width and height, we need the image URL in order to resize the image. There are a couple of ways we can do this. We can either, as soon as user uploads the image, and as soon as we get the image, we can maybe download the image on our server using Python, and then name the image with the user's user ID. And when we do the resize, we can read that image and then do the resize. But for this tutorial, I am actually creating a super simple SQLite database to store the user ID and the image. So this SQLite 3, as you guys might already know, there is no any system dependency at all, and it comes pre-built in with Python, even if you are using Python 2, which I hope you are not, but it comes pre-built in with Python. So I'm not going to go into much details on how to like create a database or things like that in SQLite. I have already written a code that will create a table, okay, and that table is called images, and it will have 2 rows, sender and the image URL text, and this this module also has few other functions like to create an entry, to delete an entry, and to get the entry back. I will also put this put all the codes in the description below. So please download the code first and then run db.py before proceeding further. Okay. All right. So as soon as you run that, you should see like a .db file. That means the database has been created and the table has been created. So after you have done that, let's go back to the tutorial. All right. So what I am going to do now is, as soon as we get the image from the user, I am going to store that image in the table called images, and I have already created a function called create entry that will insert the sender ID. By sender ID I mean page scope user ID or just user ID, and then associate that ID with the image URL. Okay. Let's do that then. Let's import the utility function first. Create entry. Create entry, we already have the user ID and we have the image URL. Okay. That's perfect. That's perfect. Now the other thing is, if we go back to the flow here, now at this point user will enter the size, what they want to resize the image to, and now we should modify the webhook in to identify the width and height syntax. Okay. For that we are just going to use like a normal regex to see if there is x or multiply in the user input or not. For that I am going to create another file, utils.py. Then I'm going to import regex and write the code to check if it's a width and height syntax or not. Okay, it's pretty simple. First we look if it's a number or not. If there's a number, great, and we check if there's x or not. If there's x, great, and then we'll return true, otherwise we'll return false. That's it. Okay. Now let's import that in here from utils import check within height syntax. So what we want to do is, so if it's a greeting, we are saying hello, welcome to my first bot. If it's a syntax, if it's a width and height syntax, then at this point we assume that assume that user already has provided an image and we have that image in the database. If the user hasn't already provided the image, we'll also give them like a nice message, please upload the image first. If I go to db.py, I already have a function called get entry, which accepts sender a user ID as a parameter and then get the image URL back. Okay. Now let's do that. Oh, actually I need to import that first. Get the image, we already had the user ID. So if image URL is none, we want to, the response text should be please upload image first. Otherwise, we will say, actually we will immediately send a message because the processing might take a bit depending upon the size of the image. So we will say processing your image, and below that we will also write a logic to we'll write a logic to actually resize the image. Okay. Actually, let's make sure that it's working. All right, let's give a width and height. Okay, processing your image. Whew, good. Now let's write a logic to actually resize the image. We are going to use pillow for that. So let's make sure pillow is installed. Oh, sorry. Pip install. Yep, pillow is installed. This is what we are going to use to resize the image. Our image is in the URL, so we are going to use request to get the content of the image, and then we are going to use bytes.io to convert that into a byte format that Peel can read. And we'll use Python resize image. It's a third-party external library. You have to install that on your virtual environment or whatever you are using. Pip install Python resize image. I have already installed that, and then it will save the output in output.png. Okay. All right. So let's apply that logic in here, and we should be good. Resize image text. All right. So now let's see if we if this actually works. We are not sending image back to the user as of now, but we are storing the image in our local server, so that should be okay. Oh, oops, guys, always make sure that your development server is up and running. Now let's make sure it works. I'll upload the same image. Well, let's say 100 by 100. All right, looks like it's done. There we go. Oh, look at this image. It has been resized to 100 by 100 width and height. Now there's only one last thing remaining. We're almost done. Now we need to modify our bot module in order to be able to send that file to the user, right? And the way we are going to do that is using this request tool belt called multi-part encoder, because we are trying to send an image that exists locally. So I want you to install another library called, this is just an extension of request, guys. And now I have already as you can imagine, I have already done the thing. I've already done the coding to send the image back. Put and request to build. Okay, so let's go through it. Just I want to make sure it's indented properly here. What we are doing here is we are adding another method to the class. It will accept 3 parameters. One is optional, page scope is ID, user ID, and the image path. In our case, the image path would be like on the same directory. Our image will always be called output.png. And yeah, so this is where we are constructing the payload, and the payload should consist of a file data. So this is so Facebook tells whenever we send actual image to the user on Facebook, we need to send that as a part of the form data. So that's what we are doing with this file data. So this will get the image that's on the relative path, and this will encode the data in as a multi-part encoder, so that we can send the data as a we can send the data as a form data. Okay, I'm going to import multi-part encoder from request toolbits. Multi-part encoder from multi-part encoder, and then we will send the request to the same API URL. Same API URL, and then we should be good. Alright, so let's try doing that and make sure it works. Now we will say we will send the image back. This will be a user ID, and the other parameters, it will be the name of the image. Whenever we do the resize, we'll always name the image as output .png, right? Output.png, and then we will send another message to the user. You're all set. And then we will also delete the entry from the database, because we have already done the processing for the image, and we don't want to do, and it's basically done, right? So delete entry and get entry user ID. All right, guys, we should be good now. We should be all set. Let's see if it all works. All right. Hi. This is good. If I say something that the bot doesn't understand, it says I'm still learning. And the other thing is, let's actually try sending the image. Now I want this image to a bit bigger than earlier, so I'll say like 200 by 200. I hope we will get the image back, but we haven't. Oh, actually there is an error here. That's why there's an error. Yep. So there is no user ID. Right. Let's try that again. I'll also do like a slight modification to bot.py. Instead of appending messages to the URL every time, what you want to do is just add that in at the top, and remove that. And the other thing I want to do is, as soon as this is done, I want to return 200 because we don't want this to go through at the end. Okay. All right, so final testing. Let's do header pie. But just so you know, guys, I'll also put all the codes to GitHub. So if there's you can just go and have a look first, or you can just follow the tutorial alone. And if there is something that you oh, all right, here we go. Sorry about that. So we got our image back and it looks good. So my specified width and height was 200 by 100 and we got the image back. Okay, as I was saying, if you ever get stuck, just feel free to smash that comment section below. I should be able to reply as soon as possible. All the best. So this chatbot will give you guys a brief idea or like a solid foundation on what are the requirements to build a Facebook chatbot. We did a few things. We created a webhook that will accept event from the Facebook page. We created a Facebook page and Facebook application, and then we put everything together in a place, and we have this amazing bot now. Let me know, guys, if you want this kind of tutorial. I'll also make a bit more advanced kind of tutorial. So in this case, we don't have any natural language processing. We don't have any NLP or AI or those kind of things. So later in the tutorial, later in another tutorial, we can also do that. All right, all the best and have fun.